Welcome back, and I am back with National Economic Council Director Larry Kudlow. I want to talk about USMCA. Larry, President Trump is pushing lawmakers to bring this trade deal to the House floor. I spoke with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy earlier about the possibility of it being passed. Here's what he said.
The real critical time is now, because if we're having negotiations with China, if China's going to have their 70th anniversary, then see the president in November, this is the moment in time we should be stronger in those negotiations. Secretary
Perdue said, look, if we can't get this done, it's anybody's guess if we can get anything else done in terms of other trade deals.
I don't think if this does not get done by Thanksgiving, it won't get done.
And then what, Larry Kudlow?
You know, I'm increasingly bullish on this. We had, I guess I'm allowed to say this, my friend and former TV partner Jim Cramer interviewed Speaker Pelosi, I guess 2 evenings ago, and she was quite optimistic. She suggested they could get to yes. I think Jimmy said, well, will you give President Trump a win? And she said, actually, it's not a Republican win. It's not a Democratic win. It would be an American win. I thought that was terrific,
so surprised that she said
stuff.
That.
Yes,
and it made me feel
stuff.
Like maybe there is a warming to it.
Well, that's right. And look, I know her. Bob Lighthizer, Ambassador Lighthizer, has been a terrific relationship with her. She's been very accommodative to us on USMCA. There are some buttons to be buttoned down still. But nonetheless, the fundamental nature of this deal is so pro-growth. I mean, look, Canada and Mexico are so important. Our total trade with those two countries is twice what our total trade is with China, for example. And China may be a sexier global story, but for the American economy, various estimates, 0.5 point of additional GDP per year, maybe 180,000 jobs per year,
wow.
And maybe $100 billion of direct investment. And one of the brilliant parts of Bob Lighthizer's negotiation here, in what is essentially a nonpartisan deal, old economy stuff, still very important, would raise domestic content for manufacturers with higher wages governing much of the production, opening up farm and dairy areas with Canada. Tough nut to crack, but we managed to get there. New economy stuff, Maria. Intellectual property rights and copyright protections, the best anyone has ever seen. This is breakthrough stuff in trade deals. Additions to financial services and digital services, and even a currency stability aspect to this. It's a powerful deal. The sooner we get it passed, the sooner it's going to act positively on the economy. The job implications are terrific. The blue-collar jobs, the farm jobs, the fisherman job, and the technology jobs.
But why are they saying we're getting there? I mean, the deal is in place, and Mexico already signed off on it. Canada says it wants this deal. So when you say getting this, so in other words, there could still be tweaks and changes. Where?
Well, I don't want to be too specific. That's up to my Reagan Cub Scout friend, Bob Lighthizer. We served together 40 years ago. There are issues here about enforcement. One area, worker rights. Let's take that, which was something of a bone of contention in the House. What we've written in there to protect worker rights was advancing what the Mexican government in the past has not even done for worker rights and union and labor rights. So that's a huge plus. So when I say there are a few things left to be buttoned down, I think they're relatively small things, and I think the cooperative spirit, again, my hat's off to Speaker Pelosi, who I think has been a great help. My other hat is off to my pal Bob Lighthizer, who's really negotiated a terrific deal.
Is there any reason to believe that the U.S. worker will have to compete with a Mexican worker making $1.50 an hour, which is what Debbie Dingell said when she sat in that chair an hour ago?
Well, look, I think that's really quite unfair and not untrue because of the protections built into this. Now, more or less, these formulas can be quite complicated, but more or less 45% of the manufacturing worker or the auto worker has to get a $16 an hour wage. So that's
what I said to her, because that's what I thought.
And the domestic content, the North American domestic content, has been raised to 75%. And incidentally, I would say in our trade talks with other countries around the world, particularly Europe, especially some of our friends who are the German car makers, they are telling us they will accommodate us, that they will continue to move towards the U.S. They are willing to abide by by these rules, and I think that's a huge plus. And again, Maria, the point is, you want the economy growing 3-4%. I think that is our potential. This is a pro-growth deal. It's right in front of us. So I welcome Speaker Pelosi's remarks, and I think if we do get the vote, there's a very good chance the vote will pass.
And then there's China. I sat down with Blackstone Group Chairman and CEO Stephen Schwarzman yesterday, talking about China and negotiating this trade versus national security. Here's what he said.
I think that you know, on many of these, the Chinese are sympathetic to those areas. Imagine, Maria, that you started out with almost no GDP per capita 40 years ago. I don't know whether it was $300 or $400, and now it's 10,000. It's the greatest economic miracle, perhaps in world history. When we show up and say, hey, why don't you just drop that system and do it the way we do, you could understand that the enthusiasm for that wouldn't be wild.
And he's making the point that these are two very different cultures. Can we do a deal with such different cultures?
Well, look, it's a complicated matter. Steve Schwarzman's an old friend, a good guy. But look, President Trump is the first president in 20 years or more to raise the issues of unfair and frequently illegal and unlawful trading practices.
He's changed the conversation, Larry.
And he deserves enormous credit for that. As you know, in this town of Washington, D.C., it's pretty hard to change a narrative. He has done that.
Look, I know you want market access, and I know you want them to buy more stuff from the U.S.
Yes,
but can you separate the intellectual property theft and the national security issues from that?
In terms of a complete deal, I don't think you can. I mean, sure, we want better market access. They have, you know, between their standards and regulations and their tariffs and non-tariff barriers, there's a lot of problems there. On the other hand, you and I were just talking about technology, and China does not have a sterling record when it comes to stealing technology. So IP theft's got to be part of the conversation. Ownership, right? You do a joint venture in China, they own the majority share of the company. They can tell you to put your blueprint on the table. And that's the forced transfer of technology, which we cannot permit, right? That takes American ingenuity away from us. There are issues about cyber hacking. There are issues about corporate espionage. And, of course, there will always be enforcement issues. It's been too long, last 20 years. And I might add, you know, China's been hurt badly by the Trump tariffs, in my judgment. Their numbers are sinking very rapidly. They're in very poor shape. In economic terms, by 4 or 5 to 1, China is paying the burden of the tariffs that we have used. Now, President Trump is a negotiator. He's a very tough negotiator. So it's a good thing to have these talks. So today and tomorrow, the Chinese deputies team will be meeting here in Washington with our deputies team. A couple weeks after that, in mid-October, the principals will meet. Liu He and his group, Steve Mnuchin and Bob Lighthizer, and the rest of us back them up. This is good. And there's a little softening in the air. Unexpectedly, last week, China removed some ag tariffs on soybeans and pork. They've had tremendous problem with pork, which is a staple of their diet.
That's the point I made. They need our pork. They've got swine flu and 250 million pigs.
No, they need, I mean, I think they need our beef. You know, when I was over there, I don't know, a year and a half ago, my first trip to Beijing, we had a couple of dinners, and I would have preferred a Chinese takeout in New York City than what they fed me there.
Oh, my goodness.
I told Vice Premier Liu, somewhat jokingly, you know, I can't help myself, he really could use our steak, because I wasn't sure what the stuff was that they were serving me up. But I will say this, better to talk than not to talk, and the talks are proceeding, and they eased up on some of their requirements on the embargoes. And the president also, in a goodwill gesture, deferred some of our tariff expectations. So, you know,
so you say there's music in the air, you said the other day.
Let us see. There's a little music in the air.
But wasn't it Leo Ha who said, yeah, I'm going to go back to China with this deal, we're 90% there, and then he got to China and the hardline said no.
Yes, that's quite right.
So what's going to change with Leo Ha this time?
I don't know. Again, I don't want to predict at all. We thought we were pretty close. They pulled back.
All right.
That was a great disappointment. The president then took some tougher actions, and he wasn't. Since then, the president has not been satisfied with the progress. But again, as a sharp negotiator, president keeps saying, we must talk. And if a good deal is on the table, he would look at it, right? Might even take it, but it has to be a good deal. On the other hand, Maria, we're growing and they're not. Well,
we got
for years, China has moved wrong way.
Well, we're slowing.
They have
3.1% to 2.1% in the second quarter.
Well, let's see how the year plays out. It's interesting to me. Let's see how this year plays, because these new numbers coming in on production and sales and consumer strength and jobs, by the by, I think our economy is outperforming expectations. And by the by, incentives work. So if you lower taxes, you lower regulations, you move to lower trade barriers, you open up the oil sector. I mean, look at what Iran's done. Iran deserves huge blame for the Saudi story, right? But had almost no impact except for the first 15 minutes of trading on oil. Because we are producing 12.5 million barrels a day.
Larry, it's good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.